My name is Carol and I thought I knew my family. I thought I knew who I could trust. I was wrong about everything. Wait, before I tell you what my lawyer discovered, let me explain why this matters so much. Because what happened to me could happen to any mother reading this right now. 2 years ago, my son Jake brought home the most beautiful girl I'd ever seen. Sarah had long brown hair, soft green eyes, and a smile that could light up any room. When Jake told me he wanted to marry her, I cried happy tears. "Mom, she's perfect," he said, holding her hand on our front porch. "She loves family just like we do." I hugged them both so tight. Finally, my boy found someone who would take care of him the way I always had. The wedding was like a fairy tale. Sarah wore my grandmother's pearl necklace. I walked her down the aisle because her parents had died in a car crash when she was young. She had no family left except us. Or so I thought. "You're my mom now," she whispered to me during the reception, tears in her eyes. "Thank you for loving me." My heart melted completely. I had always wanted a daughter. But here's where things get strange, and you need to pay attention because this detail becomes important later. 3 months after the wedding, Sarah started asking me about our family history. She wanted to know about our house, our land, our business. She said she was making a family tree as a surprise for Jake. "Tell me about your husband's insurance money," she said one afternoon over coffee. "Jake mentioned his dad left you well taken care of." I thought it was sweet. She wanted to know everything about our family. So I told her about the life insurance, about the house being paid off, about the small business I inherited. I trusted her completely. But here's what I didn't know. And this is where my lawyer's call changes everything. 6 months ago I started feeling sick. Really sick. Dizzy spells, stomach problems, weakness. My doctor ran test after test but couldn't find anything wrong. "Maybe it's stress," he said. "Are you eating well? Getting enough rest?" Sarah was so helpful during this time. She moved in with me to take care of me while Jake worked. She cooked all my meals, made my tea, brought me my medicine. "Don't worry, Mom," she'd say, fluffing my pillows. "I'll take care of everything." She did take care of everything. She started helping with my bills. She drove me to doctor appointments. She even convinced me to add her name to my bank account. "Just in case of emergency," she said. "If something happens to you, someone needs to be able to pay your bills." Made perfect sense. She was family now. The dizzy spells got worse. I started falling down. Last month, I fell down the stairs and broke my wrist. Sarah rushed me to the hospital. "She's been having these episodes," Sarah told the emergency room doctor, holding my good hand. "I'm so worried about her." The doctor looked concerned. "Has she been confused lately? Forgetting things?" "Oh yes," Sarah said quickly. "Sometimes she doesn't remember conversations we just had. Yesterday she forgot where she put her checkbook." I wanted to argue but my head felt so foggy. Maybe I was forgetting things. That's when Sarah suggested I should update my will. "Not because anything's going to happen," she said sweetly. "But Jake and I want to make sure you're protected. What if you get sicker? What if you need special care?" She even found me a lawyer. A friend of hers, she said. But here's the thing that saved my life. I didn't use her lawyer. Something in my gut told me to call my old family lawyer instead. Mr. Peterson had handled my husband's will 20 years ago. I trusted him. When I met with Mr. Peterson last week, I felt confused and weak. Sarah came with me to help me remember everything. "Mrs. Johnson wants to leave everything to her son Jake," Sarah told the lawyer. "But she also wants to make sure I can take care of the house and finances if something happens to her." Mr. Peterson looked at me carefully. "Is this what you want, Carol?" My head was pounding. I could barely think straight. "I think so. Sarah takes such good care of me." But Mr. Peterson didn't prepare the papers that day. "Let me draft something for you to review," he said. "Come back next week when you're feeling better." Sarah looked annoyed but she smiled. "Of course. We want everything to be perfect." That was 5 days ago. This morning I got the email that changed everything. "Call me immediately. Emergency." My hands shook as I dialed Mr. Peterson's number. Carol, I need you to listen very carefully, he said in a serious voice. Don't eat or drink anything Sarah gives you. Don't take any medicine from her. Can you get out of the house right now? What? I don't understand, Dash. Your daughter-in-law isn't who she says she is. I've been investigating, and what I found will shock you. But first, you need to get somewhere safe. I grabbed my purse and car keys with shaking hands. Sarah was at the grocery store, but she'd be back soon. I drove straight to Mr. Peterson's office. What he told me next made my world collapse. Sarah Mitchell died in that car crash 2 years ago, Mr. Peterson said, sliding a file across his desk. The woman your son married stole her identity. My mouth fell open. That's impossible. Her real name is Linda Walsh. She's done this before, Carol. 3 times. She finds lonely men, marries them, then slowly poisons their mothers or wives until they die. She inherits everything. The room started spinning. Poisons. Small amounts of arsenic. Just enough to make you sick, confused, forgetful. Just enough to make it look like natural illness or old age. The other families never suspected murder. I thought about all those meals Sarah cooked for me. All that tea she made. The medicine she brought me. She's been poisoning me. Mr. Peterson nodded grimly. And if you had signed that will giving her access to everything, you would have been dead within months. She would have inherited your house, your business, your life insurance. Then she would have disappeared, and your son would never know what happened. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely hold the papers he showed me. Photos of 3 other women. All dead. All with the same symptoms I had. All with wills that left everything to their sons' wives. The first woman was 68, Mr. Peterson explained. Healthy as a horse until her daughter-in-law moved in to help. Dead in 4 months. The second was 71. Same story. Mysterious illness, helpful daughter-in-law, convenient will. The third was your age, Carol. 65. She fought the longest. Almost 6 months. But the arsenic finally got her. I stared at the faces of these women. They looked like me. Happy mothers who trusted the wrong person. Where's Jake? I whispered. Does he know? That's the worst part, Mr. Peterson said softly. I don't think Jake has any idea. She's very good at this. She makes the husbands fall in love completely. They never suspect their wives are killers. I drove home in a daze. Sarah's car was in the driveway. She was in the kitchen, stirring something on the stove. The smell made my stomach turn, but now I knew why. There you are, she said brightly. I was worried when you weren't here. I made your favorite soup. I looked at this woman I had loved like a daughter. This woman who had been slowly killing me for months. I'm not hungry, I managed to say. Her smile faltered for just a second. But you need to eat something. You've been so weak lately. I said I'm not hungry. She set down the spoon and walked toward me. For the first time I noticed something cold in those green eyes. Carol, you need to take better care of yourself. What would Jake think if something happened to you? That's when I knew Mr. Peterson was right about everything. Where are the other husbands? I asked quietly. Sarah froze. What other husbands? The husbands of the 3 women you killed. The mask finally slipped from her face. The sweet smile disappeared. Her voice turned ice cold. I don't know what you're talking about. Linda Walsh, I said. That's your real name, isn't it? She stared at me for a long moment. Then she started laughing. You figured it out, she said like she was almost impressed. I wondered how long it would take. You lasted longer than the others. My blood turned to ice. She wasn't even pretending anymore. Why? I whispered. Because it's easy, she said simply. Lonely sons with rich mothers. You all want to trust me so badly. You want to believe your boys found perfect wives. She walked closer to me. I backed toward the door. The first time was an accident, really. My real mother-in-law got sick, and I realized how much money she had. When she died, I inherited everything through my husband. It was so simple. But then I realized I could do it on purpose. Find the right family, play the perfect wife, wait for the old lady to die. Then disappear with the money and find a new family. My heart was pounding. What about Jake? Do you care about him at all? She laughed again. Jake's sweet, but he's not the point. You were the point. Your house, your business, your insurance money. Jake was just how I got to you. I couldn't breathe. He loves you. I know. That's what makes this so easy. He'll be heartbroken when you die, and so grateful to have me to comfort him. He'll never suspect I killed his mother. That's when I heard the front door open. Sarah. Mom. I'm home. Jake's voice called from the hallway. Sarah's expression changed instantly. The cold killer disappeared, replaced by the sweet daughter-in-law. We're in the kitchen, honey, she called back, smiling at me. But the smile was a warning. Don't say anything, her eyes told me. Or else. Jake walked into the kitchen and kissed Sarah's cheek. How was your day? How's Mom feeling? Better, Sarah lied smoothly. We had a nice talk, didn't we, Carol? I looked at my son's happy face. The way he looked at his wife like she was everything good in the world. How could I destroy that? How could I tell him the woman he loved was a killer? But how could I not? Jake, I said carefully. I need to talk to you about something important. Sarah's hand moved to the knife block on the counter. A warning. What is it, Mom? Jake asked, concern in his voice. I looked at Sarah's face. At the knife just inches from her fingers. At my son who had no idea he was married to a monster. In that moment I made my choice. I've decided to change my will, I said slowly. I want to make sure Sarah is taken care of if something happens to me. Relief washed over Sarah's face. Jake smiled and hugged me. That's so thoughtful, Mom. Sarah's been taking such good care of you. Yes, I said, looking directly at Sarah. She certainly has. But here's what Sarah didn't know. I had already called the police from Mr. Peterson's office. While she was threatening me in the kitchen, while she was confessing to murder, they were surrounding the house. The front door burst open. Police. Everyone on the ground. Sarah's face went white. Jake looked completely confused. What's happening? Sarah Mitchell, or should I say Linda Walsh, you're under arrest for the murder of 3 women and the attempted murder of Carol Johnson. The next few minutes were chaos. Sarah screaming that it was all lies. Jake demanding to know what was happening. Police officers everywhere. But the worst part was watching my son's heart break. Mom, what's going on? He kept asking. There has to be a mistake. When they explained everything, the poison, the false identity, the other dead women, Jake just stared at the woman he thought he knew. Sarah, he whispered. Tell them it's not true. She looked at him with those green eyes that had fooled us all. For just a second I thought I saw something real there. Something that might have actually cared about him. But then she shrugged. Sorry, Jake. Nothing personal. That was 3 months ago. Sarah, Linda, is in prison now, waiting for trial. The doctors say the arsenic is almost out of my system. I'm getting stronger every day. Jake moved back home with me while he heals from everything. Some days are harder than others. I really loved her, Mom, he told me last week. How could I not see who she really was? Because she was very good at lying, I said. And because you have a good heart. You trusted someone you thought was worth trusting. But 3 women died because of her. You almost died. But I didn't. And now she can't hurt anyone else. The hardest part isn't the physical healing. It's learning to trust again. For months, I trusted someone who was slowly killing me. I let her into my home, my family, my heart. I almost let her inherit everything my husband and I worked for our whole lives. But I also learned something important. Sometimes your gut knows things your mind doesn't. Something deep inside me knew to call my old lawyer instead of using hers. Something made me suspicious, even when I was too sick to think clearly. Maybe it was my husband watching over me. Maybe it was just luck. But something saved my life. Jake is dating again now. A nice girl from his work named Amy. She's nothing like Sarah. She's loud and funny and a little clumsy. She burns dinner and laughs about it. She tells silly jokes and snorts when she laughs too hard. It is real. Last week she brought me flowers just because she saw them and thought I'd like them. Not because she wanted something. Not because she was playing a part. Just because she's kind. I like this one, I told Jake. He smiled. Me too, Mom. Me too. I think about those other women sometimes. The ones who weren't as lucky as me. I think about their sons, who never knew their wives were killers. Who probably still don't know. Who think their mothers just got sick and died naturally. I think about how close I came to being just another name in Linda's file. Another victim who trusted the wrong person. But mostly I think about how strong we can be when we have to be. How love can survive even the worst betrayal. How families can heal from anything if they stick together. Sarah took a lot from us. She stole months of my health. She broke my son's heart. She shattered our trust in people. But she didn't take everything. She didn't take our love for each other. She didn't take our ability to hope, to try again, to build something new from what she left behind. And that's how I know we won. Jake is laughing again. I'm cooking again. We're planning Amy's birthday party next month. We're living again, not just surviving. The other day, I got a letter from one of Linda's previous victims. A son whose mother she killed 2 years ago. I wish I had known, he wrote. I wish someone had warned me. My mother kept saying she didn't feel right about Linda, but I thought she was just being difficult. I thought she didn't want me to be happy. If I had listened to her, she might still be alive. I cried when I read that letter, because I almost became another story like his. Another mother who tried to warn her son and couldn't make him understand in time. But I also realized something important. This story isn't really about Linda Walsh. It's about trust. It's about family. It's about the strength we find when everything falls apart. It's about second chances and new beginnings and the people who stand by us when the world goes crazy. It's about Jake, who could have blamed me for bringing a killer into our family, but instead held my hand through every doctor's appointment and every nightmare. It's about Mr. Peterson, who cared enough to investigate when something felt wrong. It's about Amy, who loves my broken son and doesn't try to fix him, just accepts him as he is. And it's about me. About learning that I'm stronger than I ever knew. I survived. I protected my family. I stopped a killer from hurting anyone else. Not bad for a 65-year-old woman who almost got poisoned by her daughter-in-law. Sometimes Jake asks me if I'll ever trust anyone again. I trust you, I tell him. I trust Amy. I trust Mr. Peterson. But aren't you scared? What if it happens again? I think about that question a lot. What if someone else tries to hurt us? What if we get fooled again? But then I remember something my husband used to say. Life is risky, Carol. But the alternative to living is not living at all. So yes, I'll trust again. Carefully, but I'll trust. Because the world is full of people like Linda Walsh, but it's also full of people like Jake and Amy and Mr. Peterson. Good people who care about each other and do the right thing even when it's hard. And I refuse to let one bad person make me forget about all the good ones. 3 weeks ago, I did something I never thought I'd do again. I invited Amy to move in with us. Are you sure, Mom? Jake asked. After everything that happened. I looked at Amy, who was washing dishes without being asked and humming off-key while she worked. Who brought me tea without me having to ask for it, just because she noticed I looked tired. Who didn't ask me about my money or my will or my insurance. Who just wanted to be part of our family because she loved my son. I'm sure, I said. Because here's what I learned from almost dying. Life is too short to live in fear. Linda Walsh tried to steal my life, but she won't steal my future. She won't make me into someone who's afraid to love, afraid to trust, afraid to hope. She lost. We won. And every morning I wake up healthy and strong and surrounded by people who actually love me. That victory gets a little sweeter. That's my story. The story of how my lawyer's phone call saved my life and caught a killer. But more than that, it's the story of how our family survived something terrible and came out stronger on the other side. If you're reading this and something feels wrong in your life, trust your gut. Ask questions. Get a second opinion. Don't let anyone make you feel crazy for being suspicious. Don't let anyone rush you into decisions about your money or your will. And remember, the people who really love you will never hurt you. If someone is hurting you and claiming it's love, it's not love. Love doesn't poison. Love doesn't lie. Love doesn't slowly kill you while pretending to care. Real love protects you, even when it's hard, even when it's scary, even when it means having difficult conversations or asking uncomfortable questions. Jake loves me enough to ask hard questions now. Amy loves him enough to be patient while he learns to trust again. I love them both enough to take chances on happiness, even after everything we've been through. That's the real victory. Not just that Linda Walsh is in prison, but that we're still capable of love, still capable of joy, still capable of believing in tomorrow, still here, still together, still fighting for each other. And that's how this story ends. Not with revenge or bitterness or fear, but with hope, with family, with love that's stronger than any poison.